Hi guys, all the 5 that are left. Cool. I talk about on-chain payments, and I am sure you've been around for a while, so you know that this has been hailed as like the primary use case for crypto for a super long time, right? So basically, what's crypto here for? It's for payments. Somehow, this has not really happened yet, and I will talk about why I think that is and how that is beginning to change. So, why is this? There's actually a surprising number of challenges if you want to do on-chain payments, and I will actually go through them one by one. So the first one is scalability. Why scalability? Because obviously, if you don't have fully scalable systems and there's more demand than supply, then prices go up. And for payments, by and large, you rely on the fact that payments are fairly cheap, right? So if you look at Ethereum has reached a capacity of, on average, 1.25 million transactions per day. This varies by day because there's no hard block size limit anymore. So basically, it just fluctuates a bit, and transactions can consume various amounts of gas. So how much gas is consumed is more or less stable, and that then corresponds to a fluctuating number of transactions. There's fundamentally nothing on the Ethereum roadmap that's going to change this number of just over 1 million transactions per day in the next 3 years. Okay, so this is kind of what we'll have to deal with for now. So there was a meme going around on Twitter a while ago about Bitcoin and Lightning, and basically, Lightning proponents saying how Lightning's going to fix everything, and then people kind of doing the maths and kind of finding out that basically if every human on Earth were to start a Lightning channel at birth and then close it again 80 years later, that would still be too much for the Lightning plus Bitcoin blockchains. So we laughed about this, but the fact of the matter is Ethereum and layer 2s on Ethereum aren't actually that much better. So let's do some maths. So this is the average transaction fee. It's logarithmic. So what you want to look at is the red line. That's Ethereum. And you can see that the average transaction fee currently is like something between $5 and $10. Fluctuates a little bit. It's this here, okay? This is on mainnet. So obviously you will say, well, but layer 2s, they're cheaper. This is true. Layer 2s are cheaper. So these are the current transaction fees. I put this last night. So this is pretty current data. So here actually, this was Ethereum transaction fees were actually pretty low. And so the transaction fees on L2s were also fairly low, but still significant. So basically, like just for sending ETH, like around 10 cents or so. So why is this? So on L2s, the fees have to rise in lockstep with L1, because in the design of L2s, it's inherent that they need to check in with the L1. So basically, they need to pose a transaction to L1, and basically all on that cost gets redistributed among everyone who kind of does transactions on L2. So basically, if you're on an L2, you have to pay a fractional transaction to L1 as well. And because they rise lockstep with Ethereum, if there's transaction spikes on Ethereum, there's also, the fees also spike on L2s, and regularly they rise above $1, which is unacceptable for many use cases, especially centered around day-to-day payments. If you buy a coffee at the coffee place, you don't want to pay $1 in transaction fees. 4844 is going to change that a little bit. So it's going to kind of increase the block space around tenfold. So basically it makes it 10 times cheaper. And that will kind of last us a little bit until demand arises, but a factor of 10, as you know, in demand, in blockchain metrics, that's nothing, right? So if you do some maths, look at ENS names, okay? So say 10% of the world wanted to register an ENS name. That's 800 million names, and basically just registering these names would take 2 years of Ethereum layer 1 block time, provided that Ethereum does nothing else, right? So, second example. There's the global stock market. So there's 45,000 publicly listed companies. So obviously you assume that kind of most trading will kind of happen on L2s, but every now and then the L2s need to settle against each other, and also like maybe some whales want to trade like directly against each other on L1, and that leaves you less than 30 transfers per stock per day. Again, this is not even dealing with all the people registering their ENS names. This is, again, just literally just stock market settlements on Ethereum. Ethereum does nothing else now. Okay, so clearly, basically, payments aren't well suited to be on Ethereum mainnet, and also not really on layer 2. So scalability is a huge issue. Second problem, volatility. So obviously, in the beginning, we thought it's fantastic, we'll just all pay in Bitcoin. This is not a particularly great idea, as Nick explained to you in the last talk. You want something that's more or less worth the same today as it is tomorrow. So people don't want to either get rid of it or hodl it. And that brings you to stable coins. Stablecoins segues you right into the next problem area, namely regulation. Okay, so stablecoins have been. There have been quite a number of stablecoins over the years. You remember them? So there's, I think the earliest one, maybe other than digital gold, was Mastercoin. That's now Omni. That was launched 10 years ago. Then there was Tether in 2014. DAI in 2015, USDC 2018, then BUSD in 2019, and also UST in 2019. Obviously, there's many more. I'll kind of skip over them, but you will notice, even just looking at this list, that some of them have not proved to be particularly stable. And how stable stables are, this is sometimes difficult to determine, even for people who are in principle experts, and not just people who kind of want to just spend something, to get a coffee. Okay, then there's also the standard denomination in USD that Nick thankfully already talked to you about, so basically I will just skip over this. And they are currently under close regulatory scrutiny. Okay. No. Next problem, self-custody. Who here has ever lost private keys? Yeah, me too. Okay, so as you know, when you onboard someone into this space, maybe to us it doesn't seem so crazy anymore, but really it is really crazy, right? So you say, okay, this is your phone, you download MetaMask. Okay, now these are your 12 words. The 12 words, you have to write them down. You cannot lose them, not ever, and you cannot show them to anyone, not ever. Otherwise, all your assets are going to be gone. This is a nightmare of an onboarding experience, right? So basically, this barely works for us, and we're crypto natives. This is not going to work for the next 100 million people. So basically, what we desperately need is account abstraction. What does account abstraction mean? Account abstraction just means that every account is by default not an EOA, but a smart contract account, and that gives you a couple of really nice properties. So what it actually lets you do is it lets you switch out the keys that actually sign for that account, right? So what you can do, for instance, is you can onboard someone and by just with the email address or log in with Google or whatever you want, and you custody their keys for them, right? And if they then decide that they don't want you to custody their keys anymore, they give the keys, basically they rotate the keys that you have out and put new keys in that they either keep themselves in self-custody or that they give to someone they now like better, okay? You can also, it also gives you things like social recovery, then kind of social recovery and all other sorts of account recovery. You can, put guardians, and basically the guardians may not have access to your funds ever, but basically if enough guardians agree that this is really you and you have lost your keys, it lets you kind of rotate in new keys. Okay, so bottom line, self-custody is really hard. So basically if you want someone to kind of spend money on chain, kind of they currently need to deal with self-custody, and I think kind of making this easier and kind of making this more into a spectrum where kind of you have full right to kind of self-custody, but you can also have someone custody and you can pick who custodies for you and basically just use something that works for you. This, in my eyes, is super important. Okay, next question. Competition from existing payment providers. So how to offer something with a genuinely better UX. And I think this is something that we in this space tend to forget, right? So basically we have spent the last 10 years or so replicating systems that already existed and kind of made them, well, we say just as good, but quite honestly, usually they're a pain to use, okay? So how do you actually offer a user who wants to pay something a better solution than what they already have, namely kind of cash or just, using a credit card or debit card that they have in their wallet anyways and that costs them nothing to use. So, okay, I think I can skip this. The other side is the merchant, right? So the merchant actually pays. Whenever you're too lazy to get out your cash, the merchant actually pays like between 2 and 4% on every Visa or MasterCard transaction that you make, just for your convenience that you don't have to carry cash around. So for the merchants, there's actually a huge pain point, but the merchant kind of has to take what the customer wants to pay, because often, the couple of percentage points, they're not, basically they're kind of a reason why a customer switches to a different provider, but they're not really worth that. So basically, the fact that it comes with overhead, the merchants often can't do anything against. I mean, I'm sure you've seen these signs in like taxis or something, like please pay by cash. If you pay by credit card, it'll cost me an extra 4%. But basically, it's all they can do to ask nicely, because basically getting 96 cents on the dollar is often better than not getting anything at all. Okay. So I've actually walked you through all of the reasons that I think exist, or many of the reasons, there may still be others, that we haven't seen on-chain payments actually happen in any really significant way. Remittance maybe being the exception, okay? So I have two suggestions, what we can do immediately and what you can use immediately to kind of improve that. The first thing is easy on-ramping, okay? So currently, how do payments usually work? So if you want to pay on-chain, you have to deposit something into an exchange, and the exchange, basically, then you send it to, you send fiat into an exchange, and then from the exchange, you send it to a self-custodial wallet, then from there, you kind of pay. It's a little bit of a pain. So easy on-ramping. There's this project called Monerium. Who of you has heard of Monerium? Oh, super nice, fantastic. That's maybe a quarter of you. That's fantastic. It's never happened to me before. Fantastic. So basically what Monerium actually lets you do, and it only works in Europe, so I guess most of you are pretty lucky, it lets you give your wallet an IBAN, okay? So basically the thing that identifies your bank account. And when you send euros to that IBAN, they magically show up in your self-custodial wallet. As easy as that. Often in 20 seconds or something. You send money to the IBAN, shows up in your wallet. You can do the same exactly the other way around. So you can actually send a separate transaction from your wallet, okay? So you sign the separate transaction. You put in all the other things that you always put in, like IBAN and receiver and reason you're sending it, whatever. And then you sign the transaction, and off it goes into the regular payment rails, okay? And it does that at zero cost. So what Monerium actually does, it issues a digital euro. It's called EURI, and basically it's backed one-to-one by deposits that they hold in audited bank accounts. And basically the moment you actually send them the money into the bank account, they mint the euro then and there for you. Okay, so basically you can actually see this here, this is mine. So if you want to send me money, this is it. So this is my blockchain address, but you can also see that basically this is the IBAN. It's a Spanish IBAN. They're going to add more countries because apparently Germans really don't like having Spanish IBANs. But yeah, so basically this is the IBAN. You send money here, it'll show up in my wallet. How nice is that? Okay, so the second thing is self-custodial wallets. Self-custodial. Pardon me, self-custodial payments. So 2022 was the year of self-custodial wallets. Why was that? So we saw the FTX crash, Celsius, sorry, the Terra Luna fiasco, and then we kind of saw the episodes with Silicon Valley Bank, with Credit Suisse, with Signature Bank, and so on. So lots of people actually wanted to self-custody, so hold their own crypto. And self-custodial wallet providers like Trezor and Ledger, they reported a huge spike in demand. During the spike of this, basically during the height of this crisis, it was estimated that 15 million Bitcoins were actually moved from exchanges into self-custody. So if you think about the difference between a bank account and a self-custodial wallet, if you bear this difference in mind, basically what I will posit to you is the same for payments, okay? So instead of kind of paying with something that is at that point custodied by someone else, you actually custody it until you pay. And it's called Gnosis Pay, it's new, so you can actually sign up for it now, gnosispay.com. It's a little bit, you see it up here. You can be the first person on the wait list. These will actually roll out next month. And what it actually does is this thing here that looks like a credit card and actually is a Visa credit card is also a hardware wallet, okay? So it actually stores a key on this card. And when you pay at the point of sale terminal, like literally any Visa point of sale terminal worldwide, you tap it, and in that moment, your card, so your hardware wallet, signs the transaction, sending the funds to, signs the message, sending these funds to an off-ramp, okay? That transaction is registered by the payment provider and said as, this payment was received. And within seconds, so just as long as it takes you with your regular Visa card, you can actually pay at any terminal. It just gets taken out of your self-custodial wallet then and there. It takes around 6 seconds. And that's a lot better than some other Visa cards out there. So 10 seconds is the limit that Visa accepts. So what happens under the hood? So basically Visa actually allows you to send one kind of it has one empty slot that you can send information in. This is kind of where this signed message is being transmitted through the Visa protocol. And the hardware wallet is a key on a Gnosis safe or Gnosis chain. So basically that allows you recovery in case of card loss. So basically if you lose your private key, namely that card, you can just rotate keys in and out, and you can be issued a new credit card. All of the transactions themselves, also for transaction fee reasons, happen on an L2, on a roll-up or Gnosis chain. And that's really it. So basically, it's really easy. Like, you can all do it. You don't need any training. It's like using regular Visa card, and I think that's beautiful. Cool. Thank you, guys. So you can also find out more, of course. We are hiring, as always, so check out our openings. And we have our own conference, DebCon. We host it every year. It's in September. It is in Berlin Blockchain Week. So if you're up for that, come join us for that. And thank you very much for staying for this last talk of the afternoon. Do I have time for questions? Are there questions?
Hi.
Hey, Mona.
Hi, thanks for that. Just a question on the Gnosis Pay, the last slide. You talked about loss. What about theft? Is there a way to quickly react and switch it to...
Yes, you can rotate
or have limits or something like that?
Yeah, you can rotate the keys out.
Hi, how do you, Monero issues this Euro E thing. How do you see people using it? Because it's not, there's very little use for Euro E anywhere in DeFi today.
Yeah.
Apart from their curve pool, that I know of at least. So how do you see users using it today?
Yeah, absolutely. So so I think there's like 10 million or so in circulation. So even from that, you can see that there's fairly limited usage. That's because no one's really providing liquidity for this at the moment. But yeah, that will change. So I assume it'll be a lot more attractive to use it. And I can tell you, for instance, that we in-house, we actually use this as one of our primary bank accounts just for payroll and so on, because it's literally zero fees. Regardless of kind of where you send the assets. So to us, it's a fairly new product. So basically, we've synced with the Monerium guys super closely. So for instance, things like export of transactions that didn't exist when we first started using it, and our accounting department obviously complained. So yeah, so basically they actually had to go on chain. They were super unhappy about it. So but basically now you can just bulk download it, and you can bulk upload kind of transactions and so on. So yeah, it's still under active development, obviously, and I assume that there will be more liquidity in time.
Hi, Friederike. I guess these are all super cool, but I guess they're probably all KYC'd, I'm guessing. Like, what's sort of the future of KYC-less transactions?
Yeah, absolutely. So basically, if you get a bank account on Monerium, you need to do light KYC. This is completely correct. Otherwise, they're not allowed to issue you an IBAN. Likewise, if you want a Gnosis Pay debit card, you need to go through KYC. This is correct. So basically, what actually happens is that the entire layer, the layer 2 on Gnosis chain, that kind of caters to Gnosis Pay, will be fully will be open to fully KYC people only. So you can off-ramp whenever, anyone can off-ramp, but yeah, to kind of on-ramp, you need to go through KYC. And I totally understand that it's a pain point, and I understand the frustration, but this is kind of if you're looking at kind of bridging the existing payment system with kind of what we have built on chain in terms of self-custody and so on, it's unfortunately currently the price you have to pay. Sorry.
Hi. So great talk, like lots of problems with payments on blockchains and so on. But like, do you have a vision where this is going or where it can go at the end? Or do you think we just have to explore, like do small incremental steps and then end up at something that hopefully is decent? Thanks.
Yeah, so I think in terms of user experience, I think there's a lot we can do and we can do now. Basically, it just needs a lot of A/B testing, and I think we'll be okay. In terms of kind of what we can actually give the user in terms of usability, from a regulatory perspective, we're limited. So basically, yes, we, as I said, we have to do KYT, we have to do KYC for the customers, and so on. But at least kind of basically, if you have a bank account, you go through that anyways. But basically here, the user. The situation for the user, in my eyes, is strictly better because you are actually in custody until you pay. So basically, you gain something. It's still not nice in ways that the banking system is also not nice, but you definitely gain something, coming from there.
Hi, can I refund my payment? So if I ordered a pizza but driver didn't arrive, can I get a refund? No.
Can you get a
refund?
A refund?
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, this is actually a sticky point. So yeah, there's no way of doing refunds on these. So basically, if you didn't like your pizza, you can't ask for. Yeah, it's like sorry.
But, another question: if so, my funds must be deployed on Gnosis Safe, right?
So basically, Monerium works on Gnosis. It doesn't need to be so basically on Gnosis Safe. No. So basically, Gnosis Pay automatically deploys a Gnosis Safe for you. So basically, you're just given an address. Basically, this is abstracted away from you. For Monerium, you can use it with a safe. You can also use it with an EOA, and it works on. So Gnosis Pay works on Gnosis Chain, which is also abstracted away from you. But Monerium can give an IBAN to your address on mainnet, Polygon, and Gnosis Chain.
Yeah, over here, thank you. On one of the last slides, you have mentioned there the layer 2s and Gnosis. So, do you plan to create the additional layer on top of Gnosis?
Yeah, so basically,
Gnosis?
Yeah, there are several layer 2s already on Gnosis. So basically, Gnosis is a credibly neutral layer 1 blockchain that's trustlessly connected to Ethereum. So Gnosis actually has layer 2s built by exactly the same teams that are building them on Ethereum, deployed on Gnosis. And Gnosis itself has 120,000 validators, which is like 20% of what Ethereum has. So so basically you have the same issues with the layer 2s on Gnosis as you have with the layer 2s on Ethereum, namely that kind of they have centralized sequences and so on, but in principle, the infrastructure is more or less identical.
Hi. Is the Visa card integrated with Gnosis Safe?
Yes. So basically, the Visa card, the key that's on the hardware wallet that is at the same time the Visa card, that is one of the signers of a Gnosis Safe.
And what if the Gnosis Safe is multi-sig? Does it affect the payment somehow, or
what if the Gnosis Safe is what?
Multi-sig.
Yeah, so basically it's a 1 out of 2. So basically any key.
Okay, it's 1 out of 2, so you cannot be 2 out of 2.
Yeah,
right?
but I mean. You don't need to. No, you don't need to. Your device doesn't need to approve. So basically, we've seen this before. So basically, where kind of you have to, it's de facto a 2FA. This is not that. So basically, here it's exactly like on your regular credit card. So basically, so I'm not sure what the limit is here, but in Germany, so basically, if you spend more than 50 euros, then you have to put in a 4-digit PIN, and it's exactly the same. And otherwise, it's just tap. Yeah.
You can hear it on live.
I was just wondering if you're also planning to integrate other off-ramps, on-ramps, or is it just Monerium at the moment?
Yeah, so in principle, we're happy to integrate whoever wants to be integrated. So I think there's no reason why it should only be Monerium. So we know Monerium to be trustworthy and reliable. But basically, any other off and on-ramp, we're happy to kind of onboard as well.
Okay.
And we're working on a second version that will also work with Google and Apple Pay. So obviously this currently is, you actually have to tap it. But yeah, so they will also work as virtual wallets.
Hey, I'm just wondering what the process was like to interact with Visa, like the Visa network, where I guess it's not a permissionless network.
I like that description. It's not. No, it's definitely not permissionless.
It's probably also not an open standard. And did they like interacting with you, or how did it work?
Don't know whether they liked interacting with us, but basically they have a set of rules that they follow in terms of kind of issuing these the memberships. That's kind of what it's called, and yeah, you just have to adhere to that.
Is this basically the same than SaltPay, or?
Yeah, so basically SaltPay is one of the issuing partners on the issuance side. So basically Gnosis Pay currently does not hold. So basically, if you go into payments, it's a nightmare. So basically there's a stack of like 20 companies that sit on top of each other, and they all need some sort of license and whatnot. So basically, yeah, there are providers who do that for us in the back end, and SaltPay is one of them. Cool, thank you so much for coming to this talk and asking so many questions. I love that.